I'm Vincent Creel, Public Affairs Manager for the City of Biloxi, here to deliver today's report for Friday, January 15th, 2021. We'll have an update on the coronavirus cases and the latest on vaccinations. We'll have a weekend preview. We'll have a salute to MLK and a special Biloxian and lots more. But we begin today with a Zeta debris update. Debris operations, at least the federally funded portion, are scheduled to end next week. To date, the debris teams have worked 71 days. They have made over 6,000 hauls from neighborhoods, totaling more than 289,000 cubic yards of debris. And the price tag for that debris removal so far? $3.8 million. Here's the inside story from Jonathan Kaiser, who has overseen the city's federally funded debris operations since they began on November 5th. Joining me now is Jonathan Kaiser, who has been monitoring city debris operations going back to November 5th.
That's right, for this event.
I wanted to congratulate you on the fact that you said this was going to be November, December, January. 3 months. You said that we were going to be wrapping it up by the end of January. And to me, it seems like your crews are ahead of schedule.
They're looking like they're going to be through probably by the end of next week.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to be through with the federally funded portion of it.
That's right, with the eligible storm-related debris. You know, there's other material that's coming out. There's other trimmings and crepe myrtles and stuff that's coming out, and a lot of green vegetation that's not necessarily storm-related. So it'll transfer over from a contractor effort with FEMA reimbursement to a city effort with city forces.
In the big picture on debris removal, how did this effort go?
I think it went pretty well. There were a few hiccups as far as with a little bit of confusion over the commercial properties. Mm-hmm. In Katrina, FEMA waived the restriction on commercial properties, and this is a much smaller event, and they did not waive that restriction yet. Mm-hmm. So the city was not being reimbursed for commercial debris in this event.
I think the big thing for us to impart to people today is if you still have some debris out there, have no fear. It's either going to be picked up by the Crowder Gulf people who are out there now, or it's going to be picked up by the city, but rest assured it will be picked up.
And with that being said, that if it's small, if it's a pile of very small leaves or very small limbs, it would probably be faster if you were to just put it in a garbage can or bag the leaves for Pelican to pick it up, because the contractor is probably not coming back for very small piles.
Exactly. Now tell people that this was the first time for here in Biloxi where we saw these self-loading containers. That seemed to speed things up dramatically.
We did it in one of the other prior events.
This was the first one.
I've got some pictures with Zedner that had done one of the last events.
But as opposed to having big earth-moving machinery in there?
It's a lot more efficient than what we did during Katrina, where the contractors were using not using self-loading gear, and that's a lot more damaging to your infrastructure also. So this equipment doesn't tear up your sidewalks and things driving over it. It can reach over and pick this up without putting a big burden on the sidewalks or on the roadway.
What's going to be our final number, ballpark, on the amount of cubic yards we're going to haul?
We're closing in on the 300,000 mark. We're really close to it, and I think that's probably going to be about the number they're going to round off at, is about 300,000 cubic yards for the contractor of eligible storm-related debris. Mm-hmm.
And that is your job to make sure, right, that we're picking up.
That's right. That whatever the city is picking up that they're going to get reimbursed for, or if they pick up some things that they're not going to get reimbursed for, that they know about it ahead of time before they pick it up.
Give people an idea of how important this reimbursement is to the city of Biloxi.
I mean, we're over $3.5 million of debris cost with the contractor. So it's the debris removed by the contractor is going to be in excess or right around $4 million, and FEMA is paying 75% of that cost, and then MEMA pays half of the non-federal share. So the city is actually only going to be responsible out of pocket for 12.5% of approximately $4 million.
What I tell people right away, the easiest thing, because I'm a simple person.
But that's still almost $500,000.
You look at $1 for every dollar of debris pickup we have, the city's only having to pay 12.5 cents on the dollar if we do it right.
That's correct.
Jonathan, what was the biggest day of debris hauling? Do you remember offhand? What was the high point? Besides being finished. I mean, there was a few days there where y'all hit, what, 7,000 cubic yards in a day?
Yeah, I don't think we ever got to 10,000 in a day, but we had some 7,000, 8,000 cubic yard days in there.
What was the hardest part about all of this?
Well, it's trying to keep everybody happy. It's really hard. You're not going to make everybody happy, and there's a lot of people that are frustrated, with the storm and
the pandemic
and all these other things, and then they've got debris sitting in their front yard that they want to have removed, and the city's got a contractor to remove it, and they don't understand why it's still sitting there. So it's a big city, and there's a lot of people, and we've tried to respond to the complaints as they came in and prioritize those for people that are really frustrated with it. And I know not everybody's happy, but overall, I think the city's where you want to be as far as the debris is out of the way for the most part. City's getting back to normal, and it's not a threat to public health and safety, which is what the federal process is intended to do. So now it's a little bit more of a nuisance, and we still got contractors out there. We're still responding to complaints and trying to help the city close out this reimbursement process for Hurricane Zeta.
Now, Mayor Gillett says they're not complaints, they are calls for service. They're complaints.
Yeah, well, there's both. and I understand that. And I spoke to a resident just a few minutes ago who was very frustrated, had talked to our council person, had talked to the city, and I explained to them, I apologize that it had taken as long, and sometimes as piles are commingled, it's not at the top of the list for the contractor to pick up. And so we helped them to prioritize some of those things, and we were able to respond and take care of the issue so that the resident didn't have an ugly pile of debris in front of their house.
Right.
So that's it's not always your council person's fault or the CAO or mayor's fault. It's that the contractor can't or won't pick up something because of what's in the pile, and so we can help to get stuff out of the pile, communicate with the homeowner about what needs to change with it so that we can get it out of their way. But it can be frustrating, and I apologize if there are people that have been put out.
You've done a great job again. And from my standpoint, what we've learned in public affairs is we're going to do a better job of teaching people about how to organize your debris, segregate it. Yeah. But that's really kind of only if we have this federal contract, but it's possibly a good thing to do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's trash, it's debris. Nobody wants to really deal with it. So we're glad that the city had this pre-event contract in place, so you were able to hit the ground running with Crowder Golf. I think the contractor has been responsive and has done a good job, and I think they're looking to close this thing out by the end of next week, and
then the city crews will step in and do what we can do and
transfer over to the city.
I just want to say thank you to you for everything you've done for the city, going back for years and years.
I love the city of Biloxi, and I love working with the city staff here, and I'm proud to be here. And if people have issues with this project, if they'll contact the city or contact us, we'll do what we can to resolve those issues and make things better next time.
The number to call is 228-435-6271. You want to call that on weekdays. It's Monday through Friday, and they'll do what they can to accommodate. Jonathan, thank you for being here for this may be our final report.
Probably so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent.
And now the latest on COVID-19 and vaccinations.
We marked another record of new cases of coronavirus cases in Harrison County this week. On Wednesday, the Mississippi State Department of Health reported 251 new cases of the coronavirus in Harrison County. That's the highest number of single-day cases reported in Harrison County since tolling began in mid-March. Today, the department reports 231 new cases, which is not far off from the record. Since Monday, nearly 700 new cases have been reported in Harrison County. The State Department of Health also reports that in Harrison County, 191 individuals have died from the virus since mid-March. Take a look at this chart. Look at those high numbers and the rising red line. Mayor Gillard says we need to change that. Statewide today, the Department of Health reports more than 2,300 new cases and 55 new deaths. This chart shows that Mississippi now stands at nearly 250,000 cases and more than 5,000 deaths. Now, here's the 14-day track on cases statewide. As for the hospitalizations, the state reports that as of January the 13th, there are more than 1,300 coronavirus patients in hospitals statewide. As for the coast numbers, the State Department's website does not have that data listed as of this recording. The department states that as of January the 10th, nearly 200,000 are presumed to have recovered from COVID-19. The big thing on many minds, when can I get the coronavirus vaccination and how can I get it? Go to the City of Biloxi's online COVID page. You can see links to the Mississippi State Department of Health's vaccination locations, and you can see links to local hospitals who may be hosting vaccination locations along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Please remember that many locations require scheduling in order to receive the vaccine. Also remember that the vaccine consists of 2 shots, so be prepared to revisit a facility within 21 to 28 days for the second shot for the vaccine to be fully effective. Healthcare officials have said that it takes time for the body to build antibodies, and the length of the effectiveness of the vaccination is still being studied. So continue to follow all safety guidelines, avoid social gatherings, and wash your hands often. Don't forget to wear that face mask.
Non-emergency Biloxi municipal offices will be closed on Monday in recognition of the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Non-emergency municipal offices will reopen Tuesday at their usual times. Remember, there's also a city council meeting on Tuesday at 1:30. You can see the agenda online. Here's your weekend preview.
Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the annual Coast celebration began this week, and it continues through Tuesday. The activities, hosted by the MLK Coastwide Committee, are virtual this year, so make sure you go to mlkcoastwide.com and their Facebook page for a list of happenings and to watch those events. We leave you today, as MLK Day approaches, with an excerpt from The City Within a City, a fascinating look at African American life in Biloxi in the 1960s. One of our favorite clips from the 18-minute documentary was Vernon Jackson, a veteran of the armed forces and a longtime letter carrier in East Biloxi. Vernon died just the other day, but his memory lives on in his family and his friends and the lives he touched. Monday is a holiday, MLK Day, but we'll see you again soon. Stay safe.
It was one carrier, his name was Harry Burnham, and Harry had got sick. So he was off for 3 months, and so my supervisor told me, "You're gonna be carrying Harry route." And so I started carrying Harry route, and a lot of other carriers, you know, some of the white carriers, they said, "This old lady stay down there on East Howard Avenue. Her name is Miss Primo. She said, whatever you do, you don't put nobody mail in her box but Miss Primo." And she stayed in a duplex. And I'm the type of person like this, if I see some first class mail going to the same address and I didn't know who the person was, I will knock on the door and ask her is this your cousin? Is this your niece or somebody with this other last name? And she would tell me, no, it's only Primo only. So I would write those names in my book. When I got that name, I would return them. And then I was only about 3 months, because the mother guy told me, man, she's a mean old lady now. She said that she don't ever smile. And so when I would go there, I would say, good morning, Primo, how you doing? She'd say, I'm doing all right. Like, with a kind of dry talk. And then I held her mail in her hand. I wouldn't put it in the mailbox. And then I kept doing that while her facial expression started to change. And after a while, she'd be like, when she see me coming, she's smiling. And then Mr. Galat called me to his office. I said, oh Lord, what I done did? I done messed up, they gonna fire me? So I went to his office, he said, well, he's an old lady stay on the east end of Howard Avenue. She told me that you the best mailman she ever had. And could she keep you on her route? He said, I had to tell her, I said, no, that's Harry Bunning route. And he was just a substitute carrying his route until he got well.